The fire service needs you, the revolutionaries, to move us forward. We need your passion. We need your street cred. We need your knowledge. We need your energy. We need your influence. And we desperately need your leadership. And if we do this, it's going to be all right.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Firefighter Nation, another episode of the Revolutionaries podcast. I'm John Velez. I'm here with Preston Lyons and our honored guest for the day, Helton Pereira. We just joked about it, but I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name the way that he does because I would make a fool out of myself. Helton, how's it going today, man?
Doing good, John. Preston, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to sit down and have a conversation with you guys.
Yeah, obviously we've been moving around some dates, trying to get linked up, which is funny because for the most part, all three of us do this and we understand schedules and everything like that. So for us three, not to be able to get our schedules right, it really says something. But I know we've been looking forward to this. We talk all the time, all three of us. And I couldn't be more stoked for the conversation that we're about to have. But just like we like to kick off every single episode, Helton, man, just introduce yourself and then please do us a favor and talk about your family.
Yeah, so Helton Pereira, I'm a Christian husband, father. I am a firefighter. I host a podcast called The First Things First. I wrote a book called The First Things First. And I just like to have conversations with people about loving the job and staying in love with the job and really living on purpose, both inside and outside of the job. And obviously, I would not be able to do any of this if it wasn't for my beautiful wife who supports me so much in doing this and allowing me to take, sometimes hours out of the day to sit down. And we're just having fun having conversations about firemanship and the love for the job and the things that we enjoy doing. And she's usually, the one taking care of the kids and hanging with them and driving them everywhere and making sure she's accommodating her schedule to fit whatever I have planned on, whether it's here podcasting, whether I want to go to a conference. So I have to give mad props to my beautiful wife, Teresa. And she gifted me with three amazing kids. I have Ella, who is 14, Emma, who is 12, and Eliel, who is 10. And they are like my prized possession, man. A blessing from God. They're a gift to me, and they're great kids. Everybody is super cool and super chill. Man, my wife has gifted me three amazing kids, and I can't say enough about them. And so, we live right up here in Northern Virginia. It's a nice, cool / hot place to be in. We were just talking about that. The weather here, it's nice. It's perfect. We are outside a lot. We love to hike. We love to play sports and go to church. And now they're homeschooled, so they are with us quite literally 24/7. And I'm sure we're going to get into what that looks like for a fire family. It works pretty well, and man, they are just they're great kids. And my wife is the queen, man, of the house. She arranges the schedule. She supports me in everything I do, both at work and here in the home, and with the First Things First. And so I could spend the rest of the time of us together, but I'll stop there. She's amazing. My kids are awesome. And I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. One of the cool things, and we could all three probably test to this, and Preston's like hardcore with it. I don't even think he knows what I'm talking about yet, but he's hardcore with it. I've seen his Instagram stories on it, but like one of the things that you said, like your wife, like holding it down while you're able to do this, like all three of us live, that life. And one thing I was like, well, let's just go ahead and start dropping some like helpful tips for guys that might not be podcasting, but they could be trying to do other things. And it's the schedule and communication and scheduling out on the calendar, having a shared calendar, with your spouse. So like, just talk about that for just a second. And maybe both of you talk about that for just a second, how much that helps. Because I know me, I'm super forgetful, and I will tell my wife one thing and she's perfect, but sometimes she forgets stuff too. And if it's shared on a calendar, like we both don't have any excuses.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying earlier, one of the reasons we moved this thing around, one of it is because I failed to keep the calendar, and she told me that we had something on the calendar. We actually had a doctor's appointment on the calendar, and I forgot. I I forgot to put it on the calendar. So she reminded me. And so definitely it's helpful to have a shared calendar, whether it's a Google Calendar or whether it's whatever's on your phone. One of the other big things that helped us now that the kids are getting older and now we have sports and school stuff, and we actually have a 3-month calendar that it's printed on the fridge. So it's posted on the fridge. The kids all know it. They can see it. So if there's something that's coming up, they can also look at it, but they also can write it in the calendar. And so that is our family calendar, that everything is on there. And especially if I have a podcast is on there, if I'm going on to a conference, if I'm going out of town for something, everything is on there. And it's not just the wife and I, the kids see it and they can also put some things on there. Every once in a while, something ends up being on there that's not supposed to be there. Some important date that the kids want to do something, if they want to, go to the playground or go to a park or go to the bounce house, whatever. They're like, this Thursday we're going to go to a bounce house. Like, wait, who put this here on the calendar? But it's something cool that both the wife and I have to share. The kids can see it. They can input stuff on there as well. So it's definitely helpful for us as a family to know what's coming up, what's going on during the week, and things to look forward to.
Yeah, I would say for me, my wife and I've been together for 10 years now, and there's two sides of it, right? Like my wife needs to be acknowledged, right? She wants me to see that she's busting her butt for this family. She's managing things while I'm gone on shift, right? Take away the podcast, take away the conferences, 56 hours a week. My wife is practically a single mom. As firefighters, we don't really experience that. My wife's not gone 2 nights out of the week, So she does that all by herself. But the only other side of that is I can write out and say all kinds of things of affirmation to her. But if I don't follow through with actions to take things off of her plate when I am home, that's where things get a little dicey. And that's where, the calendar comes into play, because that is nonverbal communication. That is an understanding of what things need to get done. So she puts things in the calendar for me to be aware of. Right. So it's really mutual respect. And it's in this day and age, 50 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It was just, hey, like your responsibility is the house and the kids. I go work. There's no conversation. But you know what? My wife is a PA. She works harder than me. She makes more money than me. Right. So we've talked about this, Helton. Like it's a privilege for us to be able to do the things that we're doing. But now there needs to be mutual respect. My wife works really hard, and I need to acknowledge her and have small actions around the house just to keep things on an even keel around the house, because I could have the biggest platform and go to all the conferences and be up on stage and have all these people coming out to me and say, thank you for doing what you're doing. But if I lose my wife in the process, it's a double-edged sword. If I lose my wife and my daughter, my headspace isn't great. And guess what? This entire platform goes away anyways, because I'm not good. Right. So I got to maintain the things while I am doing the things I'm doing now.
Correct. 100%. And one thing that you said, Preston, that I think it's very important for somebody who was in my position for the longest time. My wife stayed at home for the first 14 years of our marriage. So she just now went back to work. And so for those times, there were times that I made the mistake of, and I regret saying this, there was one time specifically that I came home and I said, what is it that you do here all day? Ooh. And that was the biggest mistake that I made. The kids were still little, the house was a mess. And like my wife works the hardest out of the two of us. Like she does so much more work at home than I do at the firehouse, because she's at home with 3 kids, and I have no idea what that's like. So don't fall into the pitfall that I did once of asking that silly question, that stupid question to your wife, when she's been at home with the 3 kids. And so, man, just praise your wife, speak her love language, whether it's acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, physical touch, whatever that is. One of the things that for my wife, she's a big words of affirmation. So yeah. I'm saying thank you a lot. I'm appreciating that. I'm noticing the things that she does, and she's not really a big acts of service, but one of the big things that I know that she loves when I do is take over the meals if I'm home, because she loves just having the time to, one, not have the responsibility, but two, just spend the time with the kids. So I'm actually giving her the time to spend time with the kids, and I'll cook and I'll grill and I'll do whatever. And now she has time to really spend time with the kids, not just take care of them. So that's just one thing practically that I do when I'm at home.
I don't know if it's a fireman thing, but I don't know many firemen that don't cook when they're at home. Like, I cook at my house all the time. Like, if I'm at home, I'm cooking breakfast and dinner every day. But I don't know a lot of people that don't do that when they're at home.
Dude, so for one, I'm not much of a cook, but my wife likes to cook to where I get kicked out of the kitchen.
Okay.
So, but like I said, my wife works, so she gets off at 5:00. And if she goes and picks up my daughter from daycare and comes home, she doesn't get home till like 5:45, 5:30, and there's nothing going on in the kitchen. And she's like, bro, I got to cook dinner now too.
She walks in and catches you like unbagging Panda Express or something. hey, I made Chinese, you know?
I made mushroom chicken and fried rice. Yeah. I do want to say something that Helton mentioned, right? When you said to your wife, like, what do you do around here all day? I'm sure there might be a couple firefighters that say, my wife does that shit to me when I'm home on my off days and she thinks things aren't done around the house. Here's a hack for the firefighters. If you're home and your spouse works, I have a whiteboard, like a small little whiteboard that I keep in the kitchen, and all the tasks that I do, I write on the whiteboard and I cross them off. And no joke, she tries to be sneaky about it. She straight up comes in and looks at the whiteboard and she's like, okay, all right. Just want to make sure you're doing stuff around here, bro. It's legit. It's a two-way street on that too.
I don't have that problem, but if my wife did do that, it'd be like, watched episode 4 in season 3 of Chicago Fire today.
Chicago Fire.
I'm joking. That's a joke. Okay, let's get back on track. So one of the things, like, pun intended, but first things first, like, where did the platform come from? How was it like birthed into reality? And talk about the platform, and then let's start getting into your book a little bit, because last year around this time at FDIC, you gifted Preston and I your book, and it took me a while because I read like 14 books at once, but I finished the book. I really enjoyed like the life lessons, and yeah, there you go. I should have grabbed my copy. I'm a bad podcaster. But like first of all, the little handwritten note inside of it, like, it was really heartfelt and meaningful. I know you didn't write one on Preston's book, so I won't talk to you about it too much. But after I read through the book, I'm just like, I felt like I was being mentored by Helton. And like, for once, I'm not going to make a joke about it, but you're obviously further along in life than me. I'm not calling you old, but like, you've been married longer than I have been. Your kids are older than my kids. And I'm like, for whatever reason, your book opened my eyes to the mentorship of life, not just the fire service. And that's what I felt like I was receiving, you know, just like you just said, coming home from work, like, what do you do around here? Like, those little things are sprinkled out through your entire book. And it's just like, okay, I'm taking notes on that and not writing it down. So not to just give your book away, but talk about the platform and then how the book came about. And let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the first things first comes from a biblical perspective of putting the right things in the right order. Obviously, as I said, I'm a Christian husband, father, and all those things come first before being a fireman. So I throughout my life as a child, I watched my parents show that to me, how you're supposed to live as a Christian, as a husband, as a father. And so those things were modeled to me. So I am very, very blessed and thankful that I had those things to look up to. And as I got into the fire service, I noticed that not a lot of guys had those things right. They had their priorities wrong. And I'm not saying that I am perfect. I'm very far from perfect. But I am super blessed to have had those teachings growing up. So as I got along through the fire service, I started having a lot of conversations with guys about the things that they were going through, the struggles that they were going through. And I too went through some of those things, but I was able to manage them in a different way. And so I'm again blessed to say that I have never had any kind of substance abuse, never gotten divorced, never really had an issue with mental health or anything of that nature. And so but I noticed that everybody around me was dealing with some of those things. And so I just started having a lot of conversations, and I said, man, if I'm having conversations with these many people that are right around me, there's got to be more people out there that are either having those conversations or maybe they don't have anybody to have those conversations. That, along with just some things that happened right around me with some close friends, I just started putting pen to paper, and it was more of a like, hey, listen, if I can't have this one-on-one conversation with you, here are the things that I have done. Again, not because I'm perfect, but because I have been blessed enough to put the right things in the right order to be able to withstand whatever life throws at you, right? So the first things first was born out of those conversations, and the podcast was just like the next thing to just have conversation with people and people to come and share their stories, share their testimony of from rags to riches story, in a way, if you want to call it that. Not to just trauma dump on people, but really say, hey, look, I went through, whether it was substance abuse or whether it was a divorce or whether it was a setback in their career, to then for people to see on the other side, hey, listen, even though we all have valleys, there are mountaintops that we have to. We were just talking about that earlier, that sometimes we have mountaintops, but sometimes our deepest valley comes after our greatest mountaintop experiences. In life, Chief Starnes talks about this. As life is like a ECG, like there are ups and downs. If you're flatlined, you're dead. So we have to know how to navigate those ups and downs. And that's what really the book is all about. That's what the podcast is all about. I just share some of my experiences, some of the things that I have done, some of the things that I have gone through in my life personally, that I, again, by the grace of God and his mercy, I was blessed enough to know how to not go all the way down on the valleys, and how he brought me back up to some of, through some of those valleys and some of those pitfalls. So that's what the book is all about, and podcasts. And I just like to share that with people. So if people need help, again, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a professional in any way. I just want to share my life experiences with people. And if it can help somebody out, as you said, John, not because I know everything, it's just because I have lived maybe a couple of years ahead of you. And I'm in a way ahead of the curve of what you're going to experience.
Yeah. The cool thing is, like, you wrote it in a book, and if you write at all, I think one of the goals is eventually just to write a book. Right now, some people will never toe that line, and that might be me. I might never toe that line to write a book, because I could only imagine the work that goes into it. But what's cool is, like, 10 years from now, you'll be able to get your hands on a copy of the First Things First book, and you're going to be helping firemen 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or whatever the case may be. And I think that's super, super cool, because it has helped me. And so I really enjoyed that. One of the things that you said is, like, the people around you just noticed, like, they were going through this, and this. And man, I probably say it. And if people are repeat listeners to me, they probably get tired of me talking about it. But I'm surrounded by a group of really good dudes. Everyone in my firehouse is really strong in their faith. Like my buddy Josh Mosley, I mean, like, in a way, like, he's like this Moses figure to me. I mean, like, I'll be telling him something and he'll just drop this, like, wisdom bomb on me. And I'm just like, I don't know how you do this, but you do it consistently. And I almost hate you for it. But thank you at the same time, but, like, I've also worked on other crews where the conversations and, like, the where I can narrow it down to is, like, the character and principles just don't match up to mine. And at some point, like, I've got to protect my peace and just remove myself from that. And so, like, I might go hang out somewhere else for a little bit. And it's a weird vibe. It's a weird feeling that whenever you, to steal to steal Pastor Joby Martin is saying, whenever you've been ran over by the grace train and you've seen what that will do to your life, like, you want to remove yourself from these situations. And I'm not saying that you don't sit there and try to influence change and stuff like that, but at some point, like, you've got to recognize that kind of things and remove yourself. And so the people around you definitely play a big part in that. And I don't know about for you guys, but like in the fire service, it appears that there's a revival going on. Like, you see every single person talking about it, which is an awesome thing to happen. But the tide is actually turning, and it's a very, very cool thing to see.
100%. I agree with you. I remember that, like, when I was a rookie, talking about your faith, your beliefs, your religion, it was kind of taboo and people didn't want to hear it. I was told to shut up at times, or keep it to myself, or turn the music down. I don't want to listen to that. And I wasn't really trying to like shove my beliefs down anybody's throat. I was just, enjoying myself, whether I was reading the Bible, praying, or listening to worship music. But now, from the conversations that I hear at the firehouse, online, through social media, there's a lot of pages where guys are not only sharing their, training videos, but they're also sharing scriptures. They're sharing their thoughts and ideas. They're doing Bible studies. I see Bible studies at different firehouses now, not just in my department, but in departments throughout the country. And it's really cool to see that kind of accountability and mentorship. And what really is discipleship. You're teaching people in the way that it should be. And that's something we were talking about earlier. What is it that we talk about mentorship, right? In the fire service, we want to mentor somebody, we want to help them grow, want to teach them. And that's really what discipleship is. It's showing them, teaching them, showing them the way. That's what Jesus did with the disciples. And that is, I think that is one of the things that, as firemen, is what we were called to do. All three of us, we like going to classes, we like educating ourselves, we like learning new skills so we can bring back to the firehouse. And that's ultimately what the gospel is too, is about teaching somebody. It's about walking them in the way. One of the things that I believe that I am called to do is not just to be a good fireman, not just to be a better fireman after I go to a class. I'm supposed to be the fireman that God has called me to be. So one of my purposes in life I see as serving God and serving people. And man, that is the best thing that I can put the two together, is to work in the fire department, and I get to serve God and serve people in that way. And that's the people in the streets, and that's the guys and girls in the firehouse. Whether it's teaching them a drill, whether it's pulling a hose line with them, whether it's going over a new skill, whatever that is, I am serving. A lot of the other things that we talk about is being a servant leader, right? But serving, and serve people, put others first before yourself. Teach them, mentor them, disciple them. That is what we are called to do. We're not just called to run out the door when the lady on the ceiling tells us to go to a call. We're called to serve inside the firehouse too. And I think that is one of the biggest things that we need to focus on today in the fire service, right? We are called to serve. We're called to mentor. And another thing that we always talk about is changing the culture, changing the atmosphere, making change. How do we make change? How do we change culture? It's one person at a time. One thing that I speak about in the book is that a firefighter becomes who gets a hold of them first. So if I come into a firehouse and somebody's a jerk to me, somebody is going to treat me as the new guy, the rookie, and he's making me mop the floors, clean the dishes, do all that kind of, and he's, just riding me all the time. When I become that senior firefighter, when I become that officer, that's how I'm going to treat people, because that's how I was treated first. So I'm going to become a product of whoever got a hold of me first. So if us as firefighters, we mentor, disciple, and teach people the right way, if we're positive, if we're encouraging, if we answer questions, that firefighter is then going to become somebody who mentors, encourages, and disciples their new guys. So we should be looking to making a difference, making a change, changing a culture, one person at a time. That's how we change culture. That's how we make change in the fire department. One person at a time.
I like what you're saying there about, whoever gets to you first. I would like to add that that can change though, right? Just like you would say, I'm going to break the cycle in my family lineage, right? Like the men in my family are alcoholic drunks and they're abusive and all that stuff. I'm not going to be that today. I'm not going to be that anymore. Like you could definitely break that cycle. So it's true, but mentorship needs to play a role in that. And I always say that to be a good mentor, you need mentors. So, I had people finally pour into me, not in my first couple of years, but finally started pouring into me when I started showing up to work. And that really changed the game for me. I was that firefighter. I was like, hey, I'm just here to show up and run calls. I was told not to talk about politics or religion at the table. I just show up and I do my job and then I go home and that's it. There was like no like family culture, no brotherhood. It was really just organizational. It was just very business-like. And I didn't enjoy that. And I finally had a couple mentors that had breakfast with me and they would subtly talk about scripture. They were very strong men of faith, but they knew how to do it, right? They weren't hitting me over the head with a Bible or anything like that. They would say, let's come to breakfast. Let's talk about what being a man is like and incorporate scripture. And it really, really changed the game for me. So I am a product of someone that in the firehouse, invested in the younger guys.
Yeah, dude. I have this working theory that is not like theologically backed up at all. So don't chastise me. But that Jesus would probably be a firefighter. Like literally, if you've read the Gospels and you've seen what he does, like, and I know it looks differently. So once again, this is not theologically backed up one bit. But like every single day we show up to a job to serve other people. And a lot of the days, like we have to deny our flesh to serve other people, whether it be our crew, the guys we live with every tour, or the local homeless person that's calling for the fourth time of the day, right? Like he would do the exact same things that we at least should be doing every single day. And the service like unto others and caring about people. And one things that I've learned is that we talk about creating change and influencing people, like, and teaching people. And one of the ways that he did that really, really well is asking questions. And I feel like that I've taught more people things by asking them questions than I ever did telling them things, because it just gives them an opportunity to answer and start thinking about what they're saying. Because people might think something, but when they start talking out loud, I know I've walked through this before. I thought I've had a really good idea or a really good statement until I said it out loud. And I was like, oh, that did not land well. And it didn't make sense. And so, anyways, yes, absolutely 100%. I'm seeing it at my firehouse too, like, and fire department is there's Bible studies and there's conversations being had. And, once again, we had a new guy working with us the other day and I'm like, what's your favorite station to work at? And I was like, and don't say one because you're here today. Like, I want to know. And he's like, well, now you're just going to think that I'm going to say station one because I'm here today. And I'm like, well, then tell me why. And he's like, well, because it's obvious you guys care about the job. And he said, every conversation that happens here is either about faith or fire. He was like, and I really, really like that. And I was like, that's a good answer, dude. That's a good answer.
I love it. And I think that those two things together are kind of the perfect match, the secret sauce, if you say. And obviously it's just who I am and what I do, as a Christian. But I think it helps me. It helps me do my job better. And again, I'm not pushing it on anybody. I will share with people if they want to hear it. But for me, it really anchors who I am. It really anchors my purpose. It really anchors my identity, because one of the things that I think that we struggle with as firefighters is identity and purpose. And I talk about this on the book, and I talk about this often on the podcast. I have had so many conversations with guys that, you put in 10, 15, 20 years in the fire department, and then whether you leave because of an injury or because of family matters, or you retire, and now you don't know what to do because you just spent 20 years going out the door to respond to an emergency, that once that's gone, like, we can't unless you're going to like volunteer somewhere else or search for a second career, this is the kind of job that you can't just go somewhere else and do it. So what do you do now? What is your purpose? Like now that you're done, what do you do next? Who are you? And a lot of times we put that identity of I'm a firefighter, and then I'm a husband, then I'm a father, then I'm a family, then everything else. When you switch your identity and you put that first, when you switch your purpose and you put that first, when the fire department is gone, you're lost. And that's when your thoughts of suicide comes in. That's when the depression comes in. That's when your sense of purposelessness is overcomes you, and you find yourself without a reason to live. Unfortunately, I have guys that have had those conversations with me. And so for me is, again, as I said, I'm a child of God. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a friend. So many things before I'm a firefighter. I still love the fire department. I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. This is like the greatest blessing that God has given in my life after my wife and kids. But it doesn't come first. The first things first are God, then my wife, then my kids, then everything else. And then the fire department comes afterwards. So if we prioritize those things, if we put the right things in the right order, it then allows us, it gives us time to be able to focus on the fire department. If I spend a lot of time with my wife and my kids at home, if I want to pick up an extra shift, if I want to pick up overtime, if I want to go to a class, now because I have focused on them, I have given my attention to them, their love tank is full, they're taken care of. Now I have the extra time, it's margin, right? All I'm doing is creating margin. And a lot of times we are bad at creating margin for ourselves because we just, again, going back to the calendars, we just fill up that calendar as much as we can with work, overtime, doing fire department things that we neglect and forget our families. And in the same way, our purpose, like, okay, what are you here for? Going back to our work schedules. Well, I'm here to pay the bills so my wife and kids can have a roof over their heads. Yes, that is correct, but you can pay the bills with something else, right? It's probably not going to be as fun as riding a fire engine, but you can pay the bill somewhere, some other way. So your purpose really in life, what is it? Is it to be a fireman? Is it to provide for your family? Is it to be a good husband, a good father? What is your purpose? We have to find out our purposes, and we can't just say that my purpose in life is to be a fireman, because in 20 to 25 years, you're going to have to hang it up. 30 years, 40, whatever, even if you go long in your career, at some day, you're going to have to hang it up. And so what are you going to do after that? What is going to be your purpose in life after you have to hang the helmet up, after you have to put the boots to the side? And so you have to figure out what your purpose in life is. You have to figure out who you are, because otherwise you're going to be lost, and you don't want to do that. And I have had so many conversations with guys, and it's scary. It's a scary thought to have. And the other thing that I share is this. I'm part of the honor guard. Preston, I know you're part of the honor guard as well. We all have been to firefighter funerals. They are beautiful funerals. The bagpipes sound really nice, but I do not want my family to be handed a folded flag at one of those funerals. I want to live a long life after the fire department. I want to be the old guy coming back to the firehouse, hanging out and telling old wartime stories. That's who I want to be. I want to be somebody who is going to conferences as an old chief, sharing old wisdom with the new guys. I don't want to be lost. I don't want to lose my sense of purpose. I don't want to lose my life to the fire service. I am willing to give my life in the craft of firefighting to save somebody else, but I am not going to lose myself for the fire service. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So I like to give people some like actionable steps in a lot of things. And I see obviously on social media, but one thing I wanted to ask you is like, what does it look like for Helton to put the first things first in the firehouse, right? What does it look like to put your faith first? Like what are some things that you do? How do you start your day? Maybe a routine or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So for me, it's a cup of coffee. As soon as I get in the firehouse, I'll set the rig. This is kind of like what my day like. I grab my cup of coffee. I'll set the rigs up. Obviously, we check the rigs out. But then the first time that I have for me, I usually don't even go eat breakfast. I go spend some time just on me, even just 10, 15 minutes praying and reading the Bible to kind of like start my day off right. And then after that time of prayer and and reading the Bible, then I'll either go and have breakfast with the guys, or I'll go work out. Because again, the next thing is fitness. So faith, fitness,
Faith, family, fitness.
Family, exactly. Well, there you go. Well, family's not the firehouse, right?
Oh yeah.
But obviously, faith, the fitness, and then I'll go spend some time with the family. That's where it's backwards there. The family time is just spending time with the guys and the girls at the firehouse, whether it's at the kitchen table, whether it's in the bay, just doing training. That's the family time, because they are a family too, right? A third of our life is in the firehouse. So they become our second family. So spending some family time with the guys at the firehouse, and then the job, obviously. Now we got to train. We got to, whether it's doing a drill with the rookie, whether it's training for myself. I got to stay up with my protocols and my things that I got to do as a firefighter, as an officer, as a paramedic. So I got to take time for myself as well. And then the rest of the time is just obviously running calls. And if at some point that priority got out of order, whether it's because of calls or whether it's because something came up, just try to come back and revisit it. Give yourself, again, margin. You got to create margin in your day. That's one of the biggest things that I learned, is finding those margins. When you put the first things first, as Preston was saying, I got to spend some time with my faith. I got to spend some time with the family at the firehouse, sitting at the kitchen table, grabbing coffee with the guys, working out. If one of those things gets out of order for some reason, I know where the next block is going to be inputted, because I have trained myself in a way to put those priorities, to put the first things first, to put the right things in the right order. Because otherwise you kind of get lost. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. One of the cool things.
Go ahead, brother.
So one of the cool things that I think about is if you listen to podcasts, you've always heard like what do I do about a crew that won't train? And they always give the advice like, well, just go in the bay and start training, start doing something. And then that one person's going to come, hey man, what are you doing? And oftentimes they're going to join in with you. And my experience has been the same with reading the Bible or doing a devotional or whatever. Like I'm not hiding, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm in some dark corner reading a book or anything, but like, someone will see me. Hey, what are you doing? I was just reading it. And a lot of times that'll spark a conversation or we'll start talking about it. And it's the same exact thing, right? Like kind of creating buy-in and like there have been people that have been saved at our fire department just by being in close proximity to someone that isn't scared to sit down and read their Bible, at the kitchen table or whatever, at the bay table or whatever the case may be. And it's the same principle, right? Like go out in the bay and start doing mask up drills or start stretching lines or whatever. And eventually people will follow. And I've seen the same thing. And so that part's pretty cool. That's what I was thinking of when you said that.
It's about relationships ultimately, John. And I have had this thought about how you create influence, right? Influence is about relationship. You can't tell somebody, you can't tell somebody until you're blue in the face, and they will probably not listen to you if you're just being, if you're being argumentative, if you're being pushy, if you're trying to push your beliefs in somebody. I'm not just talking about your faith and your belief. Let's take truck ops, for example. I know that Preston is trying to create a truck culture in his department. He can go to all the conferences he wants, and he can talk about truck stuff all the time. But if he doesn't have a relationship with somebody, if he doesn't have spent the time, whether it's at the firehouse, whether it's at the drill yard, wherever, you're not going to be able to influence somebody if you don't have that relationship. So whether it's operations, whether it's fitness, whether it's life advice, you're not going to be able to influence somebody to believe what you believe in, or to try to create to get buy-in on something that you believe in if you don't have that relationship with somebody. So even if you want to work out today, even if you have to skip your workout, and this is again one thing that I learned, and that's what margin again creates margin. If you have to skip your workout today so you can spend the extra 30, 45 minutes sitting with the guys at the kitchen table so you can create that relationship, it's worth it. Like you can work out tomorrow because you have already worked out the days before. Missing one workout is not going to kill you. In the same way, like missing one time of quiet time in the morning, like it's not going to kill you. So if everybody's still out in the bay talking, Don't be like, oh, sorry, I got to go because I got to work out right now. Otherwise, it's okay. Like, spend the extra 45 minutes hanging out, because that's where you're creating buy-in. That's why you're strengthening your relationships. That's where you're creating the culture, right? So now that you spend that extra 45 minutes, the next day when you guys are all hanging out in the bay again, like, hey, I'm going to go work out. Well, you might actually then spark the desire in somebody, maybe extend the invitation. Hey, like, it's 9:30, whatever. This is the time I usually work out. I know everybody's here talking. If anybody wants to join me, I'm going to be at the gym. And that's how you're going to create, because you have that relationship with somebody and now they trust you, and now you're getting buy-in. So work on your relationship first to then be able to get buy-in and influence people.
Yeah.
One thing that we often talk about is how we can impact others and influence others and lead others and mentor others, right? It's always about them, right? That's the message. That's the message we constantly want to put out. But here's something I realized when I started having a platform and I started speaking and going to conferences, I found myself talking a lot more, talking about the expectations, talking about building relationships, talking about fitness, talking about getting in your gear. But the more I talked, the farther I became from actually walking the walk, because I was too busy spreading a message, trying to get other people on board. And with that came anxiety, imposter syndrome, fear of failing in front of others, right? Because, Preston talks about this expectation. He talks about this. He talks about being into the job and doing this, this, and that. And then I go out there and I'm afraid to mess up on a forced entry prop or drop a ladder and all these things. It doesn't go hand in hand. So you got to be careful pouring into others if you are not pouring into yourself at the same time. So you're already hitting it, right? Like, I'm going to go work out and inviting other people to do it. You have to have non-negotiables for yourself when you go into the firehouse. That could be whatever you have for yourself. Mine is fitness, studying, family time, and training, right? Those are huge for me, and personal time. But if I don't check those boxes, like, I don't get my workout in because I was too busy reading for a promotional, which is what I'm in doing right now in my life. That anxiety starts to build because it's uneven. So I'm just saying that for the people that are listening, we're talking about how you can pour into others and impact your others. Another great way to do it, and I honestly argue is probably the best way, is to just do it yourself. And if people see you doing it and they see the firefighter that you say that you are, and you are becoming, people will want to walk that path with you just by seeing you doing it.
Dude, people, I think it's fair. I don't want to steal other people's quotes, but I like quotes that hit. And he says, like, you have to prove your worth, like, through your work, not your words. When I heard that, I was like, I mean, like, I love quotes that take just a simple concept and then make it feel like it's this mind-blowing thing, but it's so true. People don't care. And just like, it goes back to another quote, like, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And so if I'm investing into them and at the same time living out the stuff that I'm trying to tell them, like, it's the perfect storm to create influence. Like, that's the book about creating influence right there. Show people that you care and then walk the walk. That's it. If you're doing those two things, like, people will follow you. And if not, like, you are still doing something wrong. Right. It's a balance effort, but those are the two things. People don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And then you have to prove your worth through your work, not your words. And as long as you're living those things out, like, the other stuff will fall in line. I can assure you of that.
Yeah. And I think that for us specifically, like, as a Christian firefighter, as a believer, you have to work hard, because that's you're what people see as a Christian firefighter, right? There's a verse in Colossians that says that whatever you do, work with all your heart as you're working to the Lord and not for human masters. So we have to work. We have to be the best fireman that we can be, not just because we want to be the best fireman, but because people are looking up to you. People are looking at you as you claim to be the Christian firefighter. You claiming to be the Christian husband, the Christian father. So people are looking up to you also with a different lens. So
Yeah.
if you're a Christian, if you're a believer and you're a firefighter, you best be the best dang fireman that you can be, because other people are looking at you and they are quite literally judging
Yeah.
your work as a fireman, as an officer, as a leader in the fire service.
I think you made a good point. And you know what I just thought about? And I think this is probably true. Your pillars, right? Your founding principles, starting with faith, then family, and then fitness, then firefighting. To get people to actually follow you, I think it has to go in reverse order in the firehouse. Right? And hear me out. If you are showing up and you're dialed in as a fireman, people see that. When they see you in the gym getting after it, they're like, he's a good fireman and that dude's in shape. And then your family and your kids come around to the station and they're like, this dude's a good fireman and he's in shape and he's got a great relationship with his kids. And then that conversation is going to happen. Like, Helton, like, dude, what makes you who you are, man? Like, I see these, like, you're such a great fireman. You're a great father. Like, what is it? And then you're like, I'm a man of faith. I'm a Christian. And that's it. I feel like that's the natural progression when you start to get people on board with what you're doing.
It's 100%. It's the iceberg theory, right? We just see the tip of the iceberg, but we don't see the majority of the iceberg that's underneath the surface. And that's exactly the best preaching that you can do. The best witnessing that you can do is just be who you're called to be. And that goes with anything and everything in your life. If I'm sitting on the corner, just yelling, as you're saying, Preston, just talking about the things that I'm supposed to be doing, people are like, man, all you do is talk, but I don't see you do. And this is kind of what I try to do. I don't try to preach at people. I don't try to Bible thumb people. I just try to be the best fireman that I am supposed to be. One of the things that I talk about is I don't want to be a better fireman. I want to be the fireman that I am called to be, the fireman that God has called me to be, because I'm supposed to be a good fireman. I'm supposed to be a good paramedic. I'm supposed to be a good officer. And so when people see those things in me, then the conversations come through and they can see, okay, what is it? What are you using as your base? Because people see a lot of the success, right? But they don't see the hard work that has come up to this point. You know, when we see, man, this person, he just came out of nowhere. Oh man, he was successful. Like he was a successful overnight. No, it wasn't overnight. You just saw the success overnight. But there's been years and years and years of training, years of preparation, years of heart, sweat, and tears that go into the process of being who I am today. And as you were saying earlier, Preston, just because you were at one point the firefighter who was sitting on the couch, who didn't care, who just wanted to show up and run calls, it doesn't mean that you can't change. It doesn't mean that you can't become the fireman that you're supposed to be. You know, just like, you know, just as sinners, you know, as broken people that we are, just because we're messed up, it doesn't mean that God won't love us for who we can be. And this is one thing that is so important for people to know, as I think we all have talked about this and shared, that at one point in our careers, we were just showing up to the job, and it took something that sparked the love for the job. And for me, it was conferences. For me, it was podcasts. It took me almost, and I'm embarrassed to say, it took me nearly 15 years into the fire service to realize that there were people that loved this job. There were people that are invest on themselves and invest on the job. And I was, for a long time, just showing up to work and doing what I was supposed to do at work. And I thought that was enough. And man, you got to find what that spark is. You got to find out what that thing is. And I had I was learning how to fall in love with the job again through going to conferences, taking classes, speaking to guys like you and like John and Preston, who have re-sparked the love in the fire service for me. So just because right now, today, you don't find yourself at a place, whether it's complacency, whether it's you're not motivated, whether it's you're out of love with the job, because I'll be honest, I found myself there at one point. You got to change your perspective. For me, it was a change of perspective to realize that, man, I can be much better than I am right now. I can be the fireman that I am called to be, not just for myself, so I can be healthy and be good at my job, but also so others can see that, and that I can make change. I can affect change at whether it's my firehouse, whether it's my department, and whether it's the fire service overall. You have to find what that love for the job is.
I think Preston had a biblical revelation, and he might not even notice it yet. But like just like you hear all the time, like Jesus will meet you where you're at. Like he'll meet you where you need him, and it's the same thing in the firehouse, right, Preston? Like I agree. Like there's a lot of people that come into the job that want to be a good fireman, right? We also have a lot of people that come into the job that want to be really fit, and then we also have people that come into the job that want to be a really good husband. And then we also have people that come into the job and like, you know what I mean? So like, yeah. Yes, in most cases, I would agree with you. Like people are going to see that dialed in fireman. And then like as a buddy puts it, like they want to see what makes that person tick. Right. And now they know that they're grounded through, you know, one way or another, that line is going to lead to the faith aspect, hopefully. But like that's the big deal for me is like, whenever you are like, I hope people hear this and like, I get it. A lot of what we're talking about is faith and you know, there's still going to be people in the fire service that may not just want to listen to this, but like, there's so much deeper here, not deeper, but there's so much more things that are applicable during this conversation. Like if you do these principles, like this is how you create buy-in. This is how you create change. This is how you create relationships with your crew and get them on board with whatever you want them to do. Right. Whether it be establishing a truck company culture or getting them to train on engine company stuff or just getting them to train in general. Like if you follow these things, this is how you create buy-in. And I feel like there are people out there like all three of us that are living testaments to this, that when you prioritize your life and you put the first things first, like people will follow. Yeah, I'm all about them puns right now.
Yeah, there's a verse on Matthew 6:33 that said, seek first the kingdom and all these things will be added to you. And that's exactly what you just said, John, that if we focus on being who we are called to be as a child of God, as a father, as a husband, as sons, as friends, as daughters, the fire department is so much easier. And I try to tell that to people, and it's not that I am putting the fire department last because I don't care about the fire department. It's because if I am a good husband, if my marriage is going well, my relationship with my wife is going well, if I'm a good father, if the kids are taken care of, they're doing well, if I'm physically fit and able to do the job just becomes so easier. It's like I have my basis set. So when I go to the firehouse, I don't have to worry about anything else but to come to the firehouse and do my job as a fireman. One of the things that we sometimes struggle with is, you got to leave work at work and leave home at home. It is impossible. It is impossible for you to leave work at work and home at home. Practically, we say it and we can try to make that mental divide. There are some things that are supposed to stay at home and some things that are supposed to stay at work. But we carry all that stuff. We all work with people that we can see it in their faces that they're carrying home at work. And you're like, man, there's something wrong with that person. What is it? Well, and so it just happens. So if you put the right things in the right order, take care of your wife, take care of your kids, take care of yourself, the work is going to be so much easier. We don't have to carry anything into work. And now all I have to worry about is what time is training, when do I work out, and let's eat and joke around together with the guys and girls. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. To quote my brother, I mean, all these things that we're talking about, you know, I think it's like a chain reaction, right? Like you're saying, like faith is dialed, family's dialed, fitness is dialed, which allows me to be the firefighter I need to be in the firehouse. And then everybody judges you in reverse order, like I was saying. And the only reason why I say that is because, to quote my brother, Noah Katz from Priority Fire Training out there at Firehouse 15, his slogan is, you know, no good dudes. I want no good dudes firemen. Because John hinted at it before, right? Some people come in to be strong men of faith. Some people come to be strong family men. And that's great. You're a good dude. You're a good dude. But if you can't get me out of the basement, I don't care. I don't care. So like, it's fire is not last, but those other founding principles need to be dialed in so you could be the firefighter you need to be for yourself and for others and to get your ass back home.
It's what the foundation is, right? I'm trying to find the right way to put this, but like, I 100% agree with you, right? Like there's two types of people. Well, there's actually three types of people. One I'll leave out, but there's two types of people in the fire service. There's good dudes and there's firemen, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a female or a male. For me, like if you're good at the job and you're dialed in, like you're a fireman. It has nothing to do with gender, in my opinion. I acknowledge that you're a woman. Sorry, but like is what that is built on matters, right? Because I know some really good firemen that have terrible principles and character that I want to be absolutely nothing like. And that's the big deal for me. Like, once again, if you're a really, really good fireman, but our vibes ain't vibing, I don't want you in my firehouse, right? So that's a big deal for me. I have to live with you for 48 hours. So if we're not going to vibe in the firehouse, like, don't get me wrong, I think you should still be a really good fireman. But there are people out there that are really good firemen, but they're a crappy person, and I don't want to be around them either.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure every single one of us has a person that just popped into our heads when you said that.
I got a couple.
Yeah. Well, I just had a I just had a Preston like revelation, and if I can change my picture a little bit, it's like firefighting is the roof, right? And the other three pillars are the pillars that hold that roof up, right? Without firefighting, if I don't have those three pillars, faith, family, and fitness, the roof is worthless, right? It's going to cave in. And so when you're a good fireman and you have solid like skills and you're good at your job, it's not going to leak into the pillars, right? And when you have good, strong pillars, your foundation is not going to crumble. It's going to let the roof cave in. And so that's one way that you can look at it, that your faith, your fitness, and your family is what is able to hold up your roof, your firefighting. Now you can get to work and do your job and be the best fireman that you're supposed to be. So that's another way that you can look at it as well. And I know roof because Preston loves truck work. So
well, dude, and I've heard you say this before, and I wholeheartedly believe it. Firefighting, we keep saying firemen, firefighting, fire service. You've said it before. The fire service is your vehicle to serve others. So when you can call that roof firefighting, you can call it servitude, you can call it duty, whatever that is for you. It's the same principle. So I just want to make sure that to clarify that for the EMS junkies out there, the fire-based EMS lovers.
Yeah, dude. That's all three of us, baby. Hey, I don't want to shortchange this conversation because I know that we could talk about this probably for hours and the different aspects of it, and probably by the end of it, like redefine every single one of our platforms. But I want to be respectful of Helton's time, and we have one more thing that we have to talk about. And I don't know if I just want to like hand the keys to you or like set you up like a little soft toss or something, but like we're going to do something super cool this year in October. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Helton, like let's talk about what's coming next.
All right. October 23rd and 24th, right up here in Northern Virginia. Got us put on my heart to do a Christian-based firefighter conference. It's called the First Things First Conference. And it's going to be just a time where we get to encourage and equip firemen to be the firemen that God has called them to be. As I said earlier, going to a conference was something that sparked my love for the fire service again. It was something that was very encouraging to me. And so I just wanted to share that experience with guys and girls in the fire service and just be truly like a faith-focused and something that people can come in and spend some time worshiping, praying with one another, listening to testimonies of some people that are going to be sharing. And it's just going to be a time. It's kind of like if you've ever been to youth camp at church where you get pumped and you get fired up for not only for the job, but fired up for your relationship with Jesus. It's something that I just want to share the opportunity to, once again, encourage and equip the people in the fire service to be on fire for God and on fire for the job, man, because if I haven't said it yet, this is the best job in the world. We get to do some really cool stuff. We get to pull hose lines and throw ladders, but we also get to serve people. We get to share life with people. And that's really just what I want to do on the conference. So we're going to have some good people that are going to be speaking. If I may say so, John is going to be there. Preston, I think you're going to be there, right? We're still working on that, but
your wife has to call my wife.
Yeah, so
ask for permission. Hey,
yeah, because again, talking about the calendar, Preston's calendar is already too full.
Oof.
But
I'm trying to convince my wife to come.
Dude,
Yeah.
just come out and come to DC,
anywhere.
hang out. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff to see in DC. We'll make a day to go to the museums with the family. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyways,
so
keep going.
So yeah,
I don't know if you want to name drop other people yet, but go ahead.
I can. I can name drop some people. So Daniel Alice from Faith in the Firehouse is going to be there. We're going to have Derek and Paul from Forged in Darkness. Our brother Blake Stinnett is going to be there. And the latest one that I was super excited as well is Chief Andy Starnes is going to be there as well. So all these guys are going to be sharing what God has put on their heart, their love for the fire service, their love for God, and just want to encourage guys to come out, spend some time with us, a couple of days with us here right outside of DC. So come hang out. Once again, October 23rd and 24th, right up here in Bristow, Virginia.
Yeah. I feel like I have permission to talk about the conference, don't I?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Like something that's super cool to me to see is like all these names that you've dropped, at least for the people that I've met, like, dude, they're firemen. Like, they're firemen, and we're going to go be around a bunch of firemen and talk about Jesus and just be able to worship and fellowship and really try to carry out like the Great Commission, right? We are going to try to equip people to go out and create disciples back at their firehouses. And one thing that I'm super excited about is like, much like we've all talked about, some areas like your faith is a little bit of like taboo within the fire service. And like, I say this all the time, my experience with FDIC last year, like it gave you an excuse to be a fireman. Like that's the best way that I knew how to sum it up. The bagpipes and the t-shirts and whatever, dude. Like it gave you an opportunity. Like you could have been walking around in bunker gear through the halls of the convention center and no one would have even looked at you weird. Like it just gave you an excuse to be a fireman. And not that we need an excuse or should need an excuse, but sometimes it takes a little encouragement. But like this conference is going to give you an excuse to be a Christian, to be a Christ follower. And like that's going to be super, super cool to see. Hopefully, I'm going to say yes. I'm still trying to convince my wife to come, and it's going to be an awesome time. It's right around my birthday, so I'm selling it as a birthday trip. So
there you go.
I'm
make her feel guilty by saying birthday.
Yeah, exactly, dude. But I got to make her birthday super special first.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
margin.
There you go, margin. Birthday. Okay, talk about birthday trip. Since you talk about birthday trip, I'm having an awesome birthday trip coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be 4.0. I'm leaving for Cancun with a wife. So spend time, even though it's my birthday.
You're going to Mexico right now, bro?
I'm going to, I know hopefully I'll make it back, but take the time to spend time with your wife. I live out the 2-2-2 rule is what I talk about it in the book. Try to go on a date with your wife every 2 weeks. Try to go on a night out with your wife every 2 months, and every 2 years, try to go on like a getaway. Just the two of you. You know, not a trip. This is a vacation. So I am again living out what I preach. So I am taking 5 days with the wife in Cancun. So
that's gonna be fun. Okay, before we wrap it up, we're all probably going to go through this because we're all busy people. Helton, you're the most important one. If people want to reach you and talk to you and hit you up about First Things First, where can they buy the book? And then where are you going to be at in the next couple months? I know all of us are busy traveling and going to different conferences this time of year. So just talk about yourself for just a second and let people know.
All right. So you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Spotify. The podcast is at The First Things First. You can also go on my website, thefirstthingsfirst.com. You can email me at thefirstthingsfirstshow@gmail.com. Reach out. I am pretty easy to find on social media. You can get the book on my website, or you can also find it on Amazon. It's just The First Things First, Helton Pereira. And I am, again, super blessed that this year my wife has allowed me to go to a few conferences coming up. I'm actually going to be at the IAFF conference in Las Vegas. It's the Strive conference. And then right after that, I'm going to be joining you guys at FDIC. So come find me, being the fanboy for John and Preston. I'm going to be carrying their drinks. And I'm going to be at Firemanship this year. I'm super stoked to be at Firemanship. And I will be at the First Things First conference in October. So you can find me there as well. And the last one is Mile High Conference. So busy schedule this year, but I'm super stoked and excited to be there.
All right. Preston.
Yep.
No, go for it. Helton, what else you got? No,
that was
your
it.
show, bro.
I was just saying that my wife was super nice enough. So I gotta, again, just give it up to her. She's awesome to allow me to do all that.
Absolutely. Preston?
Yeah, I'll make it short and sweet. Just come find me at Overhaul Collective on Instagram. Shoot me a message if you want to get my personal information and chat about the job. Just wrapped up March Mayhem not too long ago. Awesome conference if you haven't been there. Next up will be Command Officer Boot Camp, COBC, Pensacola, Florida, FDIC, and then Firemanship. I'll see you out there again, Helton, at Firemanship. And then planning on being at Pacific Northwest at the First Things First conference, Mile High Fire Conference, and maybe Water on the Fire back out in Pensacola again too. So send my wife some flowers so that we can all make that happen.
Dude, I thought I was going to be busy, and I don't know. Yeah, same thing. I'll make it short and sweet, or try to. Historically it's been Tailboard Misfits, but the more I have to say this so more people know, I do not have Tailboard Misfits anymore. I stopped using it. Just tried to branch out and mature the message a little bit. So you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and whatever podcast platform at the Tailboard Mindset. Still trying to keep the TBM stuff because I like those letters. As far as conferences go, we'll be at FDIC. Shameless plug, Preston and I are speaking on Thursday. So I don't know what time, but we'll be at the Lucas Oil Stadium on the health and wellness stage, much like last year, just talking crap to each other like we probably always do. That's what we're going to do.
That's a good part of wellness, man.
That is. And then, so y'all just going to leave me out. I'll be at Firemanship. I'll be at Firemanship this year. Also, shameless plug, much like you see other, and I hate using this word, but influencers are doing, I'll be with the man himself, Michael Ramirez, this year at Firemanship in between stuff, because I'm going as a student. I'm excited for the classes that I'm taking. But we're going to be doing just some like interviews and like student accounts, instructor accounts, stuff like that for Firemanship.
You got to promote his platform, bro. Michael Ramirez, find him on Instagram and the socials at Stick Around. I think it's Stick Around STIK.
Productions. Yeah, STIK. Super cool drone work. Hit him up if you're in the Houston area for any drone work. And then after Firemanship, I'm trying to think which comes first. Firemanship, and then the First Things First. I will be at Water on the Fire / International HROC. I'm excited about that. And then right after that should be the For Them conference in the beginning of December down here in Texas. Busy year. Once again, pray for our wives because they're going to need it. I'm also super thankful for mine. So
y'all should send them to Cancun or something.
Oh yeah. We're going to Cabo for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there you go.
I got too many kids for that, dude. She's gonna settle for Destin. Oh man. All right, dude, Helton, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your message. I view you as a brother, as a mentor, and I'm super thankful for you and what you're doing within the realm of the fire service as well as people's lives, because it's working. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. It was an honor. I was super excited to chat with you guys again.
Preston, you got anything else for closing?
No, sir, man. I'll give Helton the last words.
All right, man. So we'll see you guys next month. Until then, check out last month's episode and check out any previous episodes. Until then, become a revolutionary and get out there and do some stuff within your department and the fire service.